Every one of us carries a story worth telling, whether you're overcoming a challenge, built a career full of hard earned lessons, or lived through something others can learn from. Your experience has value. Turning your experience into a book isn't just possible, it's actually one of the most powerful ways to share your insight, help others, and leave a lasting impact. You don't need to be a professional writer. You just need a message, a structure, and a process. Here's how to turn your lived experience into a compelling book, step by step. Welcome to Idea to Ink, where aspiring writers become confident authors. My name's Leslie Friedman. I'm the founder, and today we're going to talk about how to turn your lived experience into a book. So, step one, identify the core message of your experience. So, before you write any chapters, get clear on the heart of your story and ask yourself a couple questions. What transformation did I go through? What do I want readers to walk away with? Do I want to inspire them? Do I want to educate them? Do I want to motivate them, entertain them? This sets the whole vibe for your book. And who needs this story the most? Is it you? Is it someone you mentor? Is it a whole group of people, like maybe women in their 40s? All of these are valid. This clarity will help you decide what kind of book you're writing. Here are three of the most popular types of nonfiction books. One, memoir, your story, which is told through a personal narrative. We've all heard of memoirs. It could be a how-to or teaching book. So these are your lessons distilled into guidance. Or it could be a hybrid, a blend of storytelling and practical advice. There's no right or wrong way to write a book. The point is your message, that's step one, your message is the anchor and everything else builds from it. Number two, we're going to define your ideal reader. So remember when I asked who needs to hear this story? That's not just a throwaway question. A book becomes really powerful when it speaks directly to someone's needs. So I want you to think about who will benefit from your experience. What problems or questions do they have? And what tone or style will resonate with them? When you know your reader, your writing becomes more focused, more relevant, and more impactful. Putting yourself in the reader's shoes not only helps you write the book, but I promise it will make marketing a million times easier later on. Next, you need to choose the right structure for your book. Think of the structure for your book as a roadmap that turns raw experience into a readable, engaging book. So all books follow some kind of structure, even if a reader doesn't readily identify it. Structure makes the book easier to read, but more importantly for us, it makes it so much easier to write. I promise. So here are some common structures. Chronological. This is ideal for memoirs or life journeys, but essentially there's some sort of time progression. It could be problem solution. So this is perfect for self-help or instructional books. A lot of times I read a lot of leadership business books, and they will present a problem that they encountered and then the solution that they learned from it or arrived to somehow from it. It could be thematic. So this is when you organize your insights into topics or lessons. So it may not be chronological, it may be built around certain themes. And then the last one that I'm going to bring up to you, just to keep things simple, is a case study driven. So this is great for professional or industry specific books, but this is if you read a lot of self-help books, a lot of leadership books are like this. It starts off with some kind of case study, and then it moves on to insights and takeaways and how you can apply it to your own life. The important thing is that you pick the structure that best supports your message and makes your story easy to follow. Once you have an idea of what kind of structure you want to use, you need to do a clear outline. So I love to start with a brain dump, which is everything in my mind, just throw it all on paper, on the computer. So this might be everything you remember, you learned, everything you want to share. And then I group those ideas into chapters or themes. You can actually think of it a lot like a fiction book. There are characters, there's settings, there's conflicts, right? There's turning points and transformations. I actually have free outlines for fiction books that are available on Idea to Ink. I'll put a link up here. Um, and even though they're designed for fiction novels, they actually work well for nonfiction too, if it makes you think about who your character is and what kind of transformation they through. So if you're writing a memoir, you are the character and you've gone through some sort of transformation. So a simple outline might include something along the lines of chapter titles, key stories or examples, lessons or takeaways, and then questions you'll answer for the reader. This could be themes. This could be just generally, I want the reader to know about X, Y, and Z concept by the end of this chapter. So outlining really saves time. It reduces overwhelm and keeps your writing on track. So I try to outline as much as possible in our Idea to Ink e-course, where we actually write a fiction novel in 21 days, just the first draft. We actually spend the entire first week of the 3 weeks just working on the outline, and that's really how important I think it is. A solid outline shows you where there are gaps at a glance. It shows you if there's flow, and it's much easier to fix a missing chapter in an outline than to delete 8,000 words that you wrote when you were just spitballing at 2 a.m. So once you have once you have your outline done and all your chapters kind of outlined, this is the part that we usually think of when we think of writing a book, and that is start writing. The biggest mistake new authors make is trying to write perfectly from the start. Don't do that to yourself. Nobody needs that. First drafts are supposed to be rough. This is what you need to focus on in your first draft: getting the story out, capturing the emotions that you want your readers to feel, writing honestly, using scenes, dialogue, and sensory detail as it makes sense for your book, obviously. Balancing story with insight. So, what happened and then what did you learn? I recommend you start with some kind of small goal, whether that's a daily word count, a weekly chapter, or even voice memos that you can later transcribe. Consistency really matters more than perfection. So even if you only write for 20 minutes a day, that's 20 minutes a day further that you've made it on your book. Once again, in my free templates that I have a whole page just on chapter length and pacing, and it's a worksheet that's designed basically to help you figure out what you need to write, what days, and how many days, and all that good stuff. The word count, if you're into that, it's a great resource. Next, we're going to edit and refine your manuscript. So a lot of people just think about the writing part and then kind of forget about this part. Once it's finished, once your draft is finished, it's time to shape it into a polished book. And editing happens in 4 big stages. So you have developmental editing, which is kind of your big picture structure and clarity. These are your, wait, I don't think this chapter even belongs in the whole book, that kind of thing. Next, you have line editing, which is more about flow and tone and readability. Then you have copy editing, which is more about grammar and punctuation and style. And then last, and you can kind of see this is going from big to little. Last, we have proofreading, and this is your final polish before, that's right, publishing. So we're just going to touch on publishing briefly. And also, if you're interested in editing, I'll make a whole video just about editing as well. But next, think about how you want to publish. So you have more publishing options today than ever before, and the route you take really depends on how much autonomy you want. I personally self-publish because I like having creative and marketing full control. But that's just me, and it works for my books. It doesn't work for everybody. So here are 3 major publishing paths and kind of pros and cons of each. First of all, you have traditional publishing. So pros, traditional publishing is what we think of when we think of any kind of any book from one of the big 5 publishers. So the pros of that are credibility, You get the professional support from the publisher, and usually there's no upfront cost for you, right? The cons are that it's competitive. You have to go through a querying process. You may have to get an agent. There is a much, much slower timeline. It may take 2 years instead of 2 months, just depends. And you have less creative control. Next up, we have self publishing. So the pros are you have full control, you have a much faster release, and a lot of times you get higher royalties because you get to set your price. Now, some cons of that are you handle everything or you hire it out, but you are in charge of it, right? So editing, design, marketing, the whole shebang you've got to do. And that's really intimidating to a lot of people. So there's also a middle ground, and that's hybrid publishing. And hybrid publishing comes in a lot of different formats, but you may pay for some services but retain more control, or vice versa. And every hybrid publisher kind of works a little bit differently. There is no right or wrong way to publish your book. You choose the path that aligns with your goals, your timeline, and your resources. Last but not least, I think it's really important to talk about how your book fits into the bigger picture of your goals. So, publishing is only the beginning, really. And before we even start, it's a great place to think about, what do I want to do with this book? Am I a working professional and I want it to boost my credibility and I want to be able to sell it for speaking engagements or at workshops or trainings? Am I a coach and I want to use it for my clients? Am I making an online course and this goes along with the course? Do I want to build a community? Do I want to inspire people? I actually co-authored a book with someone, a man. He was 81 years old. He had always wanted to write a book. I guess he was 80 when we published it. He had always wanted to write a book, and I said, if you write the book, I'll write it with you. You write a chapter, I write a chapter, and we will publish it. And his goal was just, he wanted to write a book for his two sons. That was the market. He didn't care if anyone else read this book. He wanted it for his sons. And so he wanted a business leadership book for his sons. And that is what we wrote. So it's good to know kind of what you want to do with this book afterwards. Do you want to sell it? Do you want to make money off of it? All that will go into the choices that you make along the way. And then there's marketing, which is a scary, scary part for a lot of authors. And we're not going to get too much into marketing today because I don't want to completely overwhelm you. But I will say, a lot of times when you have an idea of a book you want to do and it is kind of fuzzy, or maybe it's not, but as I'm bringing up all these points, you're like, I don't know how my book fits into this. I actually don't have a course at Idea to Inc. We don't have a course for nonfiction because everybody's situation is really different and really unique. And so, because of that, I prefer to do one on one coaching where I work specifically with you and try to figure out, and we figure out together, what is your book about? Who's the audience? Do you want to sell it and make money? Okay, well, how do we need to do everything from the outline to creating the manuscript to do that? Maybe you want to use it to get more speaking engagements. Maybe you just want it to go to your two sons. Whatever it is, I have 3 different packages, and the first one is just, let's get clear on things. So if you're wondering where to start, even after all of this, if you're wondering where to start and make sure that your idea is valid and marketable, if that's what you want, then I highly recommend you click the button here. You can plan or schedule a free discovery session, which is basically, I get to meet you, you get to meet me, and I love these. I get to hear about your book and what you're thinking. And it's totally okay to be like, I have no idea where this is going, but I know I want to inspire people. No matter what it's about, I'd love to hear it. And until then, I'll see you next time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more writer tips and resources.